Hey yo, what is up guys? Your boy's back with yet another video, and today we're talking about Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt just returned that last Saturday's pay-per-view at Extreme Rules. At the end, really cool return. He had that whole White Rabbit cryptic codes going on throughout the shows, and he finally got the reveal there at Extreme Rules, and I believe he's going to be on SmackDown, so he's going to have a segment, so that'll be really cool. So this whole thing led me down the road of wanting to talk about why Bray Wyatt is so over and like with the fans and why people like him so much. So Bray Wyatt, to me, I actually saw him wrestle live. This is actually the first time I ever saw Bray Wyatt. I saw him wrestle live in Red Deer, Alberta, when I was like 15 or whatever like that. I saw him come out. I thought he was pretty interesting. He had this whole top hat. I didn't really understand the character, but I thought he was a pretty interesting guy. I didn't know who he was, but yeah, he made his main roster debut attacking Kane, and they eventually had a Ring of Fire match, which was not very good, but it was just kind of there. But yeah, and he had a really cool, unique entrance with the Fireflies and everyone. Apparently they used to do like the sway in the NXT days. I hadn't actually seen any of his time in NXT, so it'd be really interesting to watch some of that. What else do I have to say about this? Yeah, so early on, he got a huge following. He was very much perceived as the next Undertaker, Kane-type character to kind of come through, because Undertaker we all thought was going to be retiring a lot sooner than what he actually ended up retiring. And we all thought he was kind of like the next scary character to be the face and main event WrestleManias and have a big run through the company, kind of like what we were projecting the Shield to do. At that time, it was a really interesting time in pro wrestling because there was a lot of change going on, a lot of new faces, and kind of seeing the dynamic of the new and the old. So Bray Wyatt, again, he was a master of psychology. He really understood his character, his gimmick. He's in the ring. He's weird. He's eccentric. He has these really interesting promos where he's like talking about like Sister Abigail and stuff like that, and like ghosts and haunting rocking chairs. He had just a really interesting first run through the company because everyone was really interested in this guy. He came in with the Wyatt family, again, a cool faction with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Rest in peace, Luke Harper. So he ended up in a feud with Daniel Bryan. So if you actually watch a lot of Bray Wyatt, he had big feuds with big names early on. So he feuded with Kane, star of the Attitude Era, great run through the business. Then he feuded with Daniel Bryan. Again, Daniel Bryan was the biggest star in the company at that time period in late 2013, early 2014. He was the biggest babyface we probably have seen since probably Steve Austin and The Rock. Let's just be honest. That's how over Daniel Bryan was the most over good guy we'd seen since that period. I would actually say that's how over he was with the audience. And so he went from that to his first WrestleMania was against John Cena, and he had a feud with John Cena. So you can't really get much bigger than that into a feud with Chris Jericho. So that's just kind of what I'm talking about here. But his match at the Royal Rumble with Daniel Bryan really put this dude on the map. It's this match here where if you want you can see that in the match with Kane early on. You can see he's a very physical guy, very tough dude. Apparently he has an amateur wrestling background. He just big, strong, and a lot of the moves he hits just come off really, just look painful. That senton, I wouldn't want to get hit by that senton. And then the match he had with John Cena. So the match he had with Daniel Bryan really showed off his physicality and his understanding of his character and stuff. And then he had the awesome feud with the Shield. Mint. That shit was mint. That was so cool to see the Shield versus the Wyatt family. We all talked about is that going to be at WrestleMania? That could have been a WrestleMania. We got an Elimination Chamber. Great match. The feud with John Cena really showed off again, more the psychology he had in the ring. That WrestleMania 30 match and his entrance was just off the hook. And yeah, so I really liked that match at WrestleMania 30. I love that show to death. And so here's where things kind of fall off. He kind of falls off after that feud with John Cena. He goes into a feud with Chris Jericho. And yeah, I can't remember. I think was he feuding with Roman Reigns after that? I can't even. Yeah, I think he started feuding with Roman Reigns not too long after that. So yeah, here's where I get kind of a little fuzzy and hazy. He again, next WrestleMania wrestles The Undertaker. So this guy he had huge matches. The issue was with him is that he always wrestled big stars, but he always lost, and he was always losing. And some people, they'd call him the Eater of Pins because he'd say, I'm the Eater of Worlds, but I'm the Eater of Pins because he'd always lost. And so it's like we didn't really understand I didn't get it because it's like this guy's supposed to be a big star, but it never really he never really got that kind of main event push up until his feud with Randy Orton with Randy Orton infiltrating the Wyatt family, and that's how he ended up winning his first. I think he won his first tag title. His first title on the main roster was the tag title with Randy Orton. Then he won the. Then he run the. Sorry, my cat's just meowing. So if you guys heard that, that's how he projected his feud into a big time feud with Randy Orton, and part of that awesome SmackDown from 2016 to 2017. And he became champion. And then this is just where it all fell apart. After he dropped the belt to Orton at WrestleMania 33, it just, again, another huge star he was wrestling at WrestleMania 33. And he had a segment with The Rock at WrestleMania 33. This dude was always a part of, just big shit going on with, big stars and stuff. So no wonder everyone perceives him as a star, because he's always been with the big guys. He's been with the big guns from the start, pretty much. So yeah, he pretty much falls off right after WrestleMania 30. He had a really good match with Finn Balor as the Demon. I really liked that match. I thought it was really cool. Again, Bray Wyatt, he's just a big, strong, tough dude, and it just really shows in those matches, and just how he kind of talks shit and says strange shit to his opponent, get in their head, and yeah, it's really, really interesting. So then after that, it just totally just fell off for the dude, because he ends up just in this where he just loses all the time, and it was weird. And then so finally he came out reinventing himself as the Fiend, and the Fiend was freaking cool as shit. It was really interesting watching those Firefly Funhouse segments for months on end in 2019 there. And then when the Fiend finally debuted, and we finally got to see what was going on there with that, and then that he became again the biggest talk of the wrestling world. So it was 2013 where he's a big talk. 2019 he just reinvents himself, and it's really interesting to see. And then again, so I think the Fiend was really cool. It was a really interesting character, and then it kind of that Seth Rollins feud is really so it already got off to kind of a dead start. It had a cool start with the Finn Balor match, died off with the Seth Rollins feud, and it was I didn't really like that very much. And the red light and him getting hit with a million chairs and still getting up, it's just not for me, dog. And that was right at that. That's probably actually what still helped the emergence of AEW, is why that got such a following, is probably also the fall of the Fiend in a sense, because there was a lot of animosity in Seth Rollins kind of not hacking it as the top guy. So there was a lot of things that kind of helped AEW, because a lot of the shit WWE was doing at the time, really, and that's, as you can see, as the connection there. So he eventually does become world champion again as the Fiend, and then he has a great match at the Royal Rumble with Daniel Bryan. That's the best match the Fiend had. Again, Daniel Bryan's just an amazing wrestler, so no surprise there that you could have such a great match with Daniel Bryan. And so it just kind of teetered off during the whole pandemic era. It was kind of weird. I didn't really watch too much, so I did see some of his a match with him and Randy Orton at TLC. Again, he was back feuding with Randy Orton. That was the cool thing about the Fiend, is the Fiend also feuded with people he'd already feuded before who beat him, and that's what he would come back and get his redemption. So it was kind of really, really interesting that's kind of how they had the feud going with the Fiend, where he would kind of come back for people. Because he had that really interesting Firefly Funhouse segment with John Cena at WrestleMania 36. Really strange show, WrestleMania 36, man. We can't even. I don't know. I kind of it was just a weird show. Anyways, so the Fiend kind of fell off. He had his match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania 37. I actually didn't mind the match. I thought it was cool. I thought it had a lot of really interesting things going on with it. I thought the entrance with Alexa Bliss and the whole her makeup bleeding all over the place at the end here, really fascinating stuff. And Randy Orton winning, so it's I didn't mind it too much. I just wish the match got more time, and I don't actually think it was a bad match. Other people really didn't like it, but you know me. I liked it more than the WrestleMania 33 match. So that was the last we saw of Bray Wyatt. He got released from the company for some reason. Apparently, I guess Vince McMahon didn't really ever see much in him. That's kind of probably why he had all those problems he did have getting to the top of the company, and the weird direction of Bray Wyatt throughout his time in WWE. Now he's back, and again, a great return with a new kind of character with this black phone thing. Apparently, he's going to be back with a faction, so I don't actually really know what to say about that because I'm gonna watch the show. So it's going to be really interesting to see where this whole White Rabbit thing kind of goes, and this Firefly Funhouse, if that kind of comes back. Yeah, again, so we'll get into my current thoughts now that I kind of took you through my kind of thoughts on him for when I was like a teenager all the way up to now. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned the whole having the Bray Wyatt poster in my fucking bedroom. Yeah, it was really fun bringing over girls and explaining that to them. So anyways, so where does Bray Wyatt go from here? What's the direction of his character now? Is it going to be a feud with Roman Reigns? Is he going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? That would be a possibility. I don't think it is, but that's certainly an idea. Is it good? I mean, Drew McIntyre is kind of tied up right now with Karrion Kross, so I don't really know. I think they're just kind of going to establish Bray Wyatt. He's not really going to start feuding right away with someone. If he does, we'll see. Is it going to be Seth Rollins? Apparently, I think he'll be on SmackDown, so maybe it'll be the New Day he goes after. I don't know. Just I really don't know. This is kind of what's really interesting about this time in wrestling. Is like I don't know what direction this whole thing is going to pan out to be. What this new character is. So yeah, I don't really have much of a. It's not that it doesn't look cool or the entrance at Extreme Rules wasn't cool. It's just I don't know what they're going to do with him from what the direction is that's going to be. So that's really fascinating to see. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this other than I see why the fans just love him so much and just took to this guy as such a big star, and they treat him like such a big star. I can just see he doesn't look like anyone else. He doesn't act like anybody else. This cult lead, he went from all these different gimmick changes to a cult leader in the woods and really creepy, and then to this again really creepy fiend Firefly Funhouse children's cartoon character, which is creepy to like show your kids to and stuff. So yeah, Bray Wyatt, I'm wishing him the best. I was really interested with his run through the business, and again, he's probably like a B tier wrestler, like overall. Not like, if you know what I'm saying, like he's not like an A tier. Like I'd probably like the main eventers who are never big draws, like those guys, and then there's like the B tier, like the guys who are just on the cusp of like getting super over. Bray Wyatt's just right below that, and he might break through as a big money draw. I think he could be a huge draw. Obviously, the people love him, so yeah. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Bray Wyatt's return. Just to let me ramble on about him. Next week, I want to be making a video about Sheamus and why he's the most underrated wrestler in the game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about Bray Wyatt, where you guys think who's going to feud with. Peace out, guys.